Well, hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the fabulous Lock and Load Show, broadcasting on the interwebs and across the universe and on gun channels. And once again, I forgot to turn off the external, so I'm hearing double of everything. All right, got it muted. So, hey, Jesse James is out there. So, yeah, today looks like the price of silver had a flash crash down under 1430, and these are pretty low, as low as it's been in recent memory, at least that I can recall. So I bought a few. What I wanted to get was this one, but it's not yet available. This really beautiful looking America the Beautiful coin. This one, War in the Pacific, 5 ounces of silver, Guam. But so I just hit the notify me button from Provident, and so when that comes in, I'll buy one of those. But I bought a few I bought like 6 1-ounce bars and the airtight capsules for them, and so just add a few ounces of silver to my stash. No big thing. But I don't know if it's you guys think it's time to back up the truck and buy silver or what? Anybody?
What's that?
Do you guys, looking at this chart, do you think it's time to back up the truck and buy silver? Or you're not a big metals guy, Dusty, if I recall.
Well, for the most part, though, silver is always a stable investment, so I don't think you'll get hurt at it. And buying it right now, you know that chart's going to go the other direction shortly.
Well, it's been about as low as I've ever seen it in my lifetime, except, I don't know, maybe when I was a teenager, it was lower. But, I mean, in recent, in the last decade or two, I don't think it's been lower than this price. So if you want to buy it low, I guess. I just bought like 6 ounces or whatever today, and because I already have so much of it stashed away for whenever Deutsche Bank. The Deutsche Bank had some bad news, and Deutsche Bank is crashing to the floor, and their Commerzbank thing isn't going to happen because they'd have to explain exactly everything about everything. They'd have to explain all their liabilities, which they don't want to do publicly. So that their merger with Commerzbank is never going to happen. And,
well, and it's really low right now because our economy is good. You know, silver will reflect our economy, and right now we have a good economy. People don't want to believe it.
What's the deal? I heard that the China, they have. I think you sold your pigs too early because they're just going through some swine flu in China, and like and so pork prices are supposed to go way up because every pig in China is dying, something, or being killed.
Well, you got to remember though, we are battling with China right now. China is not buying American corn.
Well, this isn't about corn. This is about pork.
That's same difference though. They are not buying our pork either. They will go hungry before they make a deal with Trump. And well, let's say they'll get very hungry before they'll make a deal with him. That's why we're going through all this right now. That's why the stock market has fell off a few points too. It's just because we are battling with China right now, and Trump is making a point, which I think he will win eventually.
So what do you guys think about the whole kerfuffle with Iran?
What happened with Iran? You said something about oil tankers don't shoot back, and I was like, I don't.
I was channeling Enter the Dragon. Maybe you didn't get that. Did you ever see Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
Boards don't hit back.
Well, no, and what HVS is referring to there is, for once, we don't rely on their oil, and they're in a they're trying to start a power struggle because they're hurting because we're not buying their oil anymore.
And we're not letting anybody else buy their oil, because if anybody does, we'll kick them out of the banking system, which we control
Right.
through the SWIFT system. And so nobody is buying their oil. So their economy is in free fall in Iran. And right now in Iran, people are just shouting, instead of just shouting death to America, they're shouting death to the mullahs, death to Iran in Iran. They don't want. And everybody in Iran is all the young ladies are trying to get jobs as waitresses in Dubai. So,
and I guess the real question is it wrong for us to act like the power that we are finally and try to control things?
Well, I think it's like walk softly and carry a big stick. Walk softly and carry a big stick, and has been
but
worked.
We've never done that. We have never took.
We have on occasion, not lately, but in the past we have. Yeah, I don't.
And all of a sudden, our economy's doing great because we are making those kind of moves.
The vulnerability to the U.S. economy is that that Europe needs oil from the Gulf, and we need Europe to buy stuff that we make. And if Europe goes down, then they'll take a lot of dominoes will fall. So Europe needs Russian oil, Iranian oil, and unfortunately, so we can't just, because we don't need it, we can't just pretend that it doesn't matter if that they close the Straits of Hormuz. But I don't think Iran could really do that. I mean, the Abraham Lincoln is actually in the Persian, the Gulf of Persia, is it? It's passed through the Straits of Hormuz, and it's sitting in between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And of course, the problem is, if Iran actually starts building nukes on missiles, then Saudi Arabia is going to buy the nukes off of Pakistan, if they haven't already, and put them on missiles. And they're already in a shooting war through proxies, and it's just a question of time before the Saudis and the Iranians start nuking each other. And you thought the price of oil, if you think the price of oil, the gas is high now, it would just skyrocket if nukes started going off around the Gulf. But hopefully, my experience so far just is that when a carrier strike force shows up, whatever people were thinking about doing, they just don't do. I mean, if anybody had some act of violence they were planning on committing, if a carrier task force shows up, nobody's gonna fuck with them. So, and they're just gonna they're just gonna postpone their evil deeds until the carrier goes away. At the worst, they'll just wait because the Navy does shoot back. I think as far as just, if you want to buy silver, buy it. I mean, it doesn't do anything besides sit in my stash hiding spot in my condo, and but it's really cool that it's like having, if I have like 100 number 10 cans of Mountain House and Augustin Farm stuff, and I can make my own water. I don't have, if the hurricane's coming in, if somebody's about to declare war, I don't need to panic because I'm already set. I've already done. I'm already I'm 10 steps ahead of I'm 100 steps ahead of 99% of the population. in between gold, silver, and cryptos, and food, and guns, and ammo, and water, and stuff like that. Um, it's just I don't have to panic. I'm not going to be in the queue with like 100 people waiting in line to pay $50 a quart for a quart of water or something stupid. At any time somebody presses a false missile alert, I mean false missile warning alert like we had at Hawaii. But I like having a bunch of silver and gold. I have more silver than gold, but I think silver is more scarce, and it's a industrial commodity. I think it's below the price of production right now. And I had mentioned on our text that I saw like a video of what goes into refining silver, and it's kind of labor intensive. They have to get from silver ore, from low grade silver ore to like 100% or 99.99% pure silver for a coin or a bar. I mean, that's a lot of work. And if it's below the price of production right now, which it's either at or below the price of production, and then yeah, it's hard to see how you would lose much money. And at some point, it's just a question of the trading. The only reason it's this low is because of derivative trading. And I would say the same thing about cryptocurrencies too. And a lot of other commodities are just, a lot of it's just people gaming the derivatives market to make a profit trading. But now that's my personal take on it. So it's one of those things. But anyway, I did want to share with you a Second Amendment thing really quick about this filing for the Supreme Court. Somebody said like last week, okay, in case anybody wants to know, Oklahoma is dealing with the hurricanes in Oklahoma right now, Oklahoma Prepper. So we talked to him before the show, and he's busy, like being on standby for the company that he works for to deal with emergency disaster recovery and stuff in his area. So
I take it he drives ambulance, right?
well, he's a volunteer firefighter for one thing.
Okay.
And he's been a firefighter, I think, for a lot of his life. He's done other things. I think he used to be law enforcement, and he's had a lot of different. He's had a varied history, but I know he has emergency services. He used to be an EMT, is what he said. And now he's more like a volunteer fire. But the company that he works for is basically on call by the state emergency services in a disaster like is going on in the areas around Oklahoma now with tornadoes. And I've never been through a tornado. I've had near misses from hurricanes, but I've never actually been in a tornado. We've had water spouts around here, which are basically tornadoes right on the water. And so unless you're on a ship in the ocean, it's not, I mean, it's like a tornado. And sometimes they've been right offshore sometimes. Like basically somebody upstairs just puts a straw into the ocean and it goes straight up or something like that. But
like I said, tornadoes are hard to predict. They can be airborne. They can be, but then certain areas, they'll decide to make landfall and they'll drop down. We've had some major tornadoes hit my area here. I've seen them take one house and go back up in the air and leave the house across the street. But, they kind of go up and down. They'll just pop, and you can see it in the woods even, where they'll all of a sudden come down, wipe out a bunch of trees, and be gone. They don't leave a major path of destruction. They'll hit here, there, or anywhere, basically.
So I wanted to present this picture to everyone. Now, I don't have anything else to say on tornadoes because I just don't know much about them. You can watch the Weather Channel. A lot of guys like to watch the Weather Channel. It's fascinating for some reason that I don't understand. Guys like to watch the Weather Channel. But so this guy is Mr. Young, and he's been the subject of a Second Amendment case in Hawaii that has progressed to, and this is a appeal to let's see, what court is this? He was a Vietnam veteran that lives in Hawaii, and let's see, this is an amicus brief. They have these briefs get so long and involved. Just to the Supreme Court. Sorry, I have to scroll up all this way, guys. But okay, this is the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus the City of New York. Writ of certiorari to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, which is weird. I mean, the Young case is in the Ninth Circuit, so this is their. Basically, these cases sometimes involve similar issues, so that's how they jump circuits sometimes. But as far as filing an amicus, but basically a friend of the court, what it means. But so there's this guy called, here he is in Vietnam, and let's see, argument. Mr. Young's case, Young versus Hawaii. A Ninth Circuit panel correctly concluded that the right to bear arms must guarantee some right to self-defense in public, and that section 134-9, that's of the Hawaii Civil Codes, eviscerates the Second Amendment right. However, in an unsurprising move, the Ninth Circuit ordered that case be reheard and bank Young versus Hawaii. Then the Ninth Circuit stayed Mr. Young's case pending the resolution of this matter. Young versus Hawaii, February 14th, 2019. Mr. Young has now been on appeal in the Ninth Circuit since December 24th, 2012. 6 years, 4 months, 20 days, and there's still no end in sight. Mr. Young will be 70 years old this year in September. He's a native Hawaiian and a Vietnam veteran. So here he is in Vietnam, defending the country with looks like a Ma-Deuce on probably an 8 armored personnel carrier of some type. It is apparently just fine for him to be taken from his home country to fight Vietnam with high-powered weaponry, but then forbid him to carry a handgun outside his home for self-defense in Hawaii. Mr. Young served his country with honor, only to return to be treated as a second-class citizen by Hawaii, unable to fully exercise the Second Amendment rights. Hawaii does not issue carry permits to non-security guards. This is uncontroverted. That's a fact. Nobody's ever been issued a permit to carry except for like Brinks armored trucks yards. And because Hawaii does not issue permits to non-security guards, Hawaii will not issue one to Mr. Young. Now Mr. Young is left in the Ninth Circuit appeal in limbo until and after this court decides the matter, further delaying Mr. Young's stay in court. How much longer must Mr. Young have to wait to have his rights vindicated by the courts? As former Chief Justice Warren E. Burger wrote, self-confidence in the courts is essential to maintain the fabric of ordered liberty for free people. And 3 things could destroy that confidence and do incalculable damage to society. That people come to believe that inefficiency and delay will drain even a just judgment of its value. That people who have long been exploited in the smaller transactions of daily life come to believe that the courts cannot vindicate their legal rights from fraud and reaching that people come to believe that the law, in the larger sense, cannot fulfill its primary function to protect them and their families in their homes, at their work, and on public streets. That's from Berger's opinion that says, "What quote? What's wrong with the courts? The Chief Justice speaks out." U.S. News and World Report. That's the volume number. It's an address to the American Bar Association meeting in 1970. So when the courts evince extreme disfavor of an enumerated right to develop their own policy choices allegedly already taken off the table per Heller and then delay adjudication, confidence in the courts is diminished, if not destroyed. Okay, so that's really, I mean, that's the point where I usually say that the Second Amendment, I mean, the rights of the people, for free people in the United States reside not with the courts, but with the people who exercise their rights to keep and bear arms. Because if Kamala Harris was elected in 2020 and they say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. America, you have to go to the police station and turn in all your guns, or we'll have the police throw you in jail. There aren't enough jails to throw that many people in, and there aren't enough police to go out and steal everyone's gun. And nobody's going to run down, at least most of the people, gun owners are not going to run down, some will, aren't going to run down to Gestapo headquarters and turn in their firearms. So even if, the worst outcome in the next election happened, it's like, I mean, everybody wants the courts to work, but yeah, they're not working right now. At least not for the Second Amendment. But it's really good that there's still organizations filing these cases to point this out. And I mean, it doesn't seem to me like this guy has done anything. There isn't a reason that I could think of that makes any sense why this gentleman shouldn't be allowed to carry a firearm. And so I think Squibb is returning home. Is that the sounds I'm hearing?
No, that's from Dusty.
Oh, that's from Dusty? Dusty.
Sorry. I forgot about it. I had my mute. Still had my stuff on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm closing up shop for the night.
Okay. Can you hit the mute button for a couple minutes while you're doing that?
There we go. Now I'm back out in Mother Nature.
Oh, okay. You still having that fire going, or?
No, I'm back up by my buildings. I'm getting ready to go to bed.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I did want to say last week's show, somebody complained that we were talking about medical stuff. But I mean, if one of the panelists that my friends has to go in the hospital for surgery, we may veer off of the guns topic for a while and talk about medical stuff. I mean, I
but
care
it's
about.
Not like it's not something that's important. I mean, I'm glad that he had a good result, but he did it early enough that he, protected himself and found it early. So.
Yeah, I'm glad that his everything came back cancer free. So from his biopsy, and that's just great news.
And I'm gonna guess that he's gonna have another one done, maybe 6 months to a year, and they're gonna watch. But like with me, 6 months, mine come back again. That same polyp comes back again. But those polyps that they removed of his, that's where the cancer is formed. So it's bad, but it's a topic that most people don't understand. So it wasn't bad that we talked about it.
Right. Well, yeah, if somebody's in hospital also, I mean, I don't know. When you do a lot of shows with people, you're kind of like they're friends. And you care if they're going through some potentially life. I mean, most surgery is at least some threat to life and limb. I mean, so because anything could go wrong in a surgery.
Right.
So, I mean, we're going to talk about it a little. I mean, this is a gun show. We talk about guns and Second Amendment stuff all the time, and we'll keep doing that.
That same procedure he had, the last one I had problems with the anesthesia that I was given. And they was worried I wasn't going to wake up. So, yeah. And I'd had it done 2 or 3 times before. But that time, the anesthesia they gave me did not work right. It wanted to put me down for good. So, yeah, any surgery is risky.
And hey, this is the grids up. So, but when I can tell you that when I was in the recovery hospital of Pacific, it felt like a survival situation. It to me, I mean, because everything hurt. I couldn't do like anything. Everything hurt, and it was just. Plus, it was freezing in that hospital. I remember walking up and down the corridors of that hospital trying to stay warm at 2 a.m. And I was just thinking of my grandfather, Abraham, on fighting on the Eastern Front, how cold it must have been for him marching, because that's how cold I was, shivering the whole fucking time. I mean, and they keep the hospitals cold so bacteria can't form, so. Medically, I could understand that, but they had like one blanket warmer for that could heat 4 blankets, and it took like 12 hours to heat a blanket, and for a whole floor of people, and it was just you would have to be extremely lucky to get more than one hot blanket a day, and the blanket doesn't stay hot for very long, so it was. I just remember freezing my ass off, and that's one reason I enjoy walking on the sunshine. And I just wanted to share this. I had a birthday recently, just a few days ago, and I was walking down to the local Omeke's fish market restaurant and bar, and the carpenter talked to me just on the street. I was walking down the street, and he said, excuse me, sir, but you look incredibly happy. Everybody else here seems all uptight and depressed and worried about money, and I've only been here for 2 weeks, and it just seems like nobody here is happy because they're all worried about money or something. And I have a very low threshold to be happy now. And if I could get up, walk a mile down the street to a nice restaurant, I mean, in the sunshine, in the Hawaiian sunshine, I am so incredibly happy that I can do that, because there was a time that I couldn't. So when I was working my ass off back in Burbank running a studio, it was like I was just happy if I woke up in the morning and there was half and half for my coffee. And if anything else was a bonus. But now if I could just get up, go outside and walk around in the sunshine, I'm perfectly happy. And so if the price of silver goes up or down, or if the price of Bitcoin goes up or down, I could give a shit. You know? I mean, I'm alive. Okay? So take that for what it's worth.
Well, the other thing that from last week is it's a subject that most people don't want to think about. Everybody is scared to death of going through what Oklahoma did. That test scares the daylights out of most people. But, well, like myself, I have to do it every 3 months. But I guess I would rather do that test every 3 months and know that I don't have cancer than the alternative and have cancer.
Yeah, cancer's a big downer. But it's just...
So here we go again. We're talking medical again. There goes your rating.
I'm trying not to. I'm trying to explain this in a way that'll bring it back to like a prepping survival. I mean, you can't be a survivalist if you're dead, okay? So.
Well, you're not going to survive too much if you're dead. That's for sure.
And so. There's a lot of different ways you have to protect yourself in this world, but I think it's really nice that if one of your friends is in hospital, you call them up and ask him how he's doing, or just talk to him, because it's not fun being in a hospital. So, and it's people have to face mortality, and not just at the wrong end of a gun. So I think that once you figure out that you're not indestructible, and that
And
bad
really,
things,
a gun would be easier than
and
sitting
less
in a
painful.
hospital facing it, because a gun's going to go bang and it's over. So,
Well, it depends what caliber, but yeah.
okay, well, there you go.
So now we can twist it back to guns. All right, caliber. So what was that picture you texted me, Dusty, with bring? Jeez, I gotta look at the phone. Did I even leave that? It was like you. Was that a thermal optic that your cat was holding or something? I don't know.
What?
Let's see.
Jared,
Oh, that was
did
Jared.
that.
That was
That
Jared.
was Jared. And I asked him if he was going coyote hunting.
Is that
With the
it
cat.
looks like a thermal optic of some kind of optic. Is that what that is? No, that's a tripod.
Yeah. But I told him in Michigan the cat would be illegal because that'd be considered baiting.
Baiting a coyote with a cat. What kind of mask is he wearing in that picture? That's all right. That's not an Ushanka hat, but it's close. And that's what kind of overcoat is that? Some kind of face mask, some kind of weird baklava, something similar to Ushanka, and some black overcoat, and
Balaclava. The other one's a pastry.
oh, right. Did I? Yeah, you don't want to wear a pastry. All right. Me when I'm told to only pack the essentials. He brings his cat. All right. Okay.
That would be the last thing I brought. I'd leave the goddamn dog at home too. So,
all right. Well,
who said that? Was that Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor?
You said what?
The goddamn dog. He always said the goddamn dog. I think it was Eddie Murphy. You said she can get the fuck out and take the goddamn dog with her. All right. Oh well.
No, that was Richard Pryor, and I remember
That was
one.
Richard Pryor. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he looked at and she leaves the dog, and he didn't feed the dog, so the dog don't like him, and yeah.
how's Sig doing?
He's old, and some days he has trouble getting around, and
Sounds like me.
yeah. Well, the difference between you and him is you're not going to get put down this year, so.
Well, year ain't over yet. Okay. Let's see. Anybody have any new gun stuff they've been working on this last week? Reloads, upgrades, new barrels, new guns.
Yeah, weather's getting nice, doing outside stuff.
Like what?
Gardening.
Yard work.
Yeah, I've been watching Oklahoma's gardening video.
Yeah, I watched it today for inspiration.
I know one thing that's not happening around here lately is corn's not getting planted or any tractors moving in the fields.
Why? Too cold?
Oh, we've been wetter than all get out. It rains every other day.
Too muddy.
Yeah. I posted a video on Facebook the other day of me burying my lawnmower, even mowing my yard. So
Did they ever find that gold in Lake Michigan from the Civil
gold,
War? Yeah, at the
gold.
bottom of Lake.
Oh, you watch too much TV.
Just like the History Channel
I know.
and the Discovery Channel.
I
Yeah.
know.
That's
I don't know.
and Turner Classic Movies. Okay, and occasionally Star Trek.
That has been a rumor that has been around though for years that there was gold in the bottom of Lake Michigan
Yeah, from the Civil War.
from the Civil War. Yes, I have heard that years back even, and I don't
So
think
why?
it's.
That's you never got bothered to get into diving and look for it. Okay.
I don't know. Have you ever been to that lake? That's
No, I've never been to Michigan.
I would not want to dive in that lake very much.
Why?
That water's cold.
That's what wetsuits are for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe.
I mean, the water in California was cold. I used to go surfing when I was a lot younger. Hawaii water is a lot warmer.
It's probably, which I haven't really looked into it much. They're probably talking Lake Superior more than Lake Michigan, even. Where was it, Squib? You're a history buff.
Why would there be Civil War gold in Michigan at all?
Somebody brought it here. For there.
Or what?
To hide it somewhere so they could steal it later. They're bankers, Civil War bankers, modern day bankers. They're all about stealing gold. Nothing changes, except they didn't have derivatives as back then, I guess. At least they didn't have an electronic.
Or a shipwreck.
Yeah, there was a shipwreck.
Okay.
And basically one of the container cars that that was a train, like a train container car, slid off the ship and got dumped into the ocean or into the Lake Michigan. So,
See, I'm going to guess that's up in Superior, though, because that's where most of the major wrecks have been.
Yeah,
You know, that's
but
where,
what
like,
would-
the Emmett Fitzgerald was, and
why would they be up there? There's no reason.
Huh?
If it's a gold shipment, first off, I just
yeah, I don't know why it
really
would be
no
oh either. You're
on a-
right.
on a ship at all. I mean,
Unless they were trying to go to Canada. Would they have been trying to go
Wrong
to
way.
Canada with it?
no, they've been trying to go to Chicago or Wisconsin.
they were probably trying to figure out how to launder it because they lost the war. The federal government was going to, the Yankees were going to take the gold, and they didn't want the Yankees to get it. So
wait,
they
this is
buried it.
Confederate gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit.
Well, they seem to have found something in the parts of the show with that I watched. With it just that they can't dig it up until they get a salvaging permit from the state of Michigan. So I guess we'll see. I'll just keep watching that show. I've been busy watching a lot of bushcraft shows.
If it's in state waters in Michigan, it belongs to the state of Michigan.
Right, so they need a salvage permit to dig it up. They can't just dig it up. And they basically use metal detectors, and they found non-ferrous metal that they think are gold bars just below the surface, but they can't dig it without a salvage permit from the state. So they mapped it, geolocated it, and marked it, and they applied for a permit with the state. So I guess if and when they get their permit, they can start digging. But yeah, so yeah, legally they can't just go and dig up the gold themselves until they get the permit. So, but bankers have been hiding and stealing gold from forever. So that's why
I
I
would
like.
almost guess that they would have to buy that from the state of Michigan after they went and found it, to be honest with you.
Well, if the state issues a salvage permit, they'll probably get a finder's fee for digging it up. And since they're talking about $150 million worth of gold, I'm sure the
Right,
finder's
but
fee will be significant.
they'll get paid for finding it, but the gold will actually belong to the state.
Right. Well, still, a finder's. I wonder how much the finder's fee will be on $150 million worth of gold.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. So I'll keep watching that. But I've been watching on YouTube. I watched some Totally Awesome Outdoors, bushcraft, shelter builds. Some of the Naked and Afraid has had a new episode out. I like the ones in the jungle, but the different jungles around the world are all very different. I mean, we don't have the same plants here that they do in South America, and obviously they have predators in South America that aren't here. We don't have jaguars. We have scorpions and brown recluse spiders and a few other things that could kill you. And we don't have like any large predators. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is like a 300 or 400 pound oversized boar came into your camp and decided it didn't like you and wanted to mess with you. And another thing that sucks about Hawaii hunting laws is you're not allowed to build a campfire. So, which has to be the dumbest. I mean, I understand people don't want fires and stuff everywhere, but are homeless encampments, but I mean, if you actually have a hunting permit, it would seem to me that you would know how to build a fire and a heat reflector and like dig a trench for your coals and take some basic precautions so that the fire won't just get out of control. I mean, just a small campfire, and you get a really large fine for doing that. So it's just one of those dumb laws.
You cannot have a campfire in Hawaii?
Yep.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, those people that were freezing up on a Haleakala 500 feet from the visitor center, I mean, maybe they didn't know they could build a camp. They couldn't build a campfire, so that's why they didn't. Maybe they were just dumb. But they had hypothermia so bad that they couldn't talk. It gets cold up at 14,000 feet. I mean, Haleakala is a huge mountain, very high altitude, so it gets the oxygen is low, the air gets cold, and if it's windy and rainy, you would need a fire, and you're not allowed to do that. So it's like if you call for a rescue from the state of Hawaii, expect to get a ticket and a bill. They prefer that you just quietly die in the jungle. It's cheaper to do it. So be aware of what you're doing. If you're going to camp out in Hawaii or go into the jungle, you better be able to figure out how to get yourself out. Otherwise, if the state has to send in a helicopter and a rescue team, expect to get a large bill and several legal citations that will wind you up in court in front of some very unhappy judge who's looking to grab as much money for the state as he can, because the state is like a lot of other states and counties are big debt problems, unfunded pension liabilities, all the same shit that's happening in all the other states. besides having some incredibly dumb gun laws. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with that the lawsuit that I talked about last week of the Hawaii Firearm Policy Coalition against the FBI, just who didn't answer their Freedom of Information Act request on what's happening to the wrap back fees that the people are paying who buy a firearm and register it. And they have to pay $42 to the state or county firearms clerk, and it's supposed to go to put people on this wrap back list where they're continuously checked nationwide every day for any criminal blip that comes up on the NICS system. And considering we're 3,000 miles away from the nearest continental landmass, it's hard to commit a crime in like Alabama if you're living on the island of Hawaii. But it's just that apparently nobody has been put on, because if nobody has been put on the list, which is what the tip off was to the Hawaii Farms Coalition, why they filed the lawsuit, if they've been taking the money but not been nobody's been put on the wrap back list, it's quite possible that the FBI didn't do it because they know that it's illegal to do that. It's against the 1986 Firearm Owners Protection Act. So it's just like a poll tax or something. They're just collecting money for exercising a fundamental constitutional right. So yeah, the Second Amendment is like the orphan right that the state does not want to admit that the people have the right to do. And it just seems to me that the more the economic troubles of the banking system and the unfunded pension liabilities and the bankrupt states, the close to collapse they get, the more panic, the more they're going to be driven, the politicians, to try and take everyone's guns, which I don't think will ever happen. And not because of the lawsuits, which I think are a great thing. I support all those organizations that are filing. Gun Owners of America, even the NRA filed a lawsuit about Hawaii and gun rights and the carry permit issue. It's just, I don't think free people are going to walk down to the police station and just turn over all their guns just because some politician went on TV and said that everybody has to do that to keep everyone safe. Because people are just used to being free. The people are used to living free. So, I think a lot of people know what that means. Maybe some people don't, but I think a lot of people know what that means. And maybe it means something more to some people than others, but some people just don't get it. But the people that do aren't going to follow an unconstitutional order from like a governor or a president or unelected, politically appointed police chief or a senator or a political commentator on one of the channels there. So, but anyway, it's like I guess if you have, it's like having silver and guns and ammo and preps of one kind or another. I don't know. That's just it's something. It's like a peace of mind thing, I guess. But it didn't used to be such a big thing when I was growing up to go down to the sporting goods store and buy a gun. I think I bought a 1911 when I was 22 years old, and it wasn't any big deal. Why it is now, it's all, I don't know if it's all politics or it's just hype. And but I think having having America just be full of free people is an important thing to the world, whether the world realizes it or not. And that's my 2 cents on it. So tell us about your flagpole, Dusty, if you're still with us. Can you tell us exactly what you're going to do to install your flagpole light? You explained it in the pre-chat, but like your wife's going to stand on one end and you're going to stand on the other or something?
Something like that, I guess. Basically,
I don't know if I put that in a strange way.
have you ever walked a pole down to the ground before?
No.
You have a 20-foot pole. When you get to the middle of that 20-foot, guess what's going to happen? It's going to teeter-totter on you. So somebody has to be on one end of the pole while you walk it down. And that's the reason it hasn't been done, is because she hasn't been home.
So she's been at work or something?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so when do you think your flagpole, and it's a solar powered light?
Yeah. Yep.
So once you get it up there, you don't have to worry about it, hopefully.
Well, it has a battery backup, but someday I'll have to take it down and get it and change the batteries up, because I haven't figured out how I'm going to fly up there to change those batteries. But
You don't have like a crane or something they could lift you up there, I take it.
oh, I have access to a crane, but that's a little bit ridiculous.
Why? You have to borrow it. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But that's how I would do it. I'd get like a crane to do it. Or buy a telescoping flagpole.
But, if you would fly up here, I could hook that crane hook to your belt loop, and I could pick you up there, and you could change the batteries for me.
Well, but I'm afraid of heights, so.
Oh, but you don't know how to operate a crane, and I know how to operate the crane.
I'm not going to Michigan just to be a guinea pig for you to do things to me with your machines.
And of course, it can be quite fun when I swing you. If I decide I want to swing around in circles real fast or something.
That's not my idea of swinging. No, it's
No, the person I work for now has a crane, so I could get a crane here real easily. So
yeah, come out to Michigan, have a few laughs. Put HVS on the top of a flagpole and see if you can climb down. Give him some.
We might even have to make a video of that.
Well, if I have some rope, I could do something to just tie that rope to my shoes and kind of. Well, that works better on a tree than a flagpole that's all smooth and everything. But yeah, I think I'll have to pass on that one. I plan on staying on the ground.
But while you're here, I could teach you to drive 13 speed like we talked earlier.
Well, if you don't mind me grinding all your gears into.
That truck's for sale. It don't matter.
If after I get done, it'll be harder to sell it.
Oh, okay.
Oh man. So basically, I watched a bunch of bushcraft videos over the this last week. Ordered a couple things off Amazon, nothing really. And basically, I bought some silver today because I've never seen it this low before, or not recently. So not much, but because I already have so much silver, just got another 6 ounces, and with that, when that Guam, America the Beautiful Guam 5-ounce coin comes up, I might buy a couple of those because I just like the look of it. It's not available. That one's not available yet. And so it just the nice things about precious metal is that if you have it in your possession, it doesn't matter what happens to the banks. You don't need to worry about the bank because
It's always a stable investment. You know, the price may fluctuate a little bit, but it's not a major fluctuation usually.
And if you're buying it at the bottom, which is where it's at, the downside risk is pretty limited. And so you may not get your you may not get your moonshot of silver, depending on the manipulation of metals by J.P. Morgan's traders, Blythe Masters, and her subordinates on COMEX, and how many derivatives they just dump on the market. But you're not really going to lose that much money. And if the banks close for whatever reason, because of some problem in Europe with the banking system there, it'll be worth something. And if the banks are closed, if you have it with you, it's like you don't need to worry about whether the bank is open or closed. It's because it's in your possession. And that's the dangerous thing about all exchanges, COMEX, derivative exchanges, and crypto exchanges, is that almost all of the exchanges trade derivatives, and they don't actually have it's like fractional reserve banking. They don't actually have the money that if you deposit money in a bank, it's not your money anymore. It belongs to the bank. After 2008, they changed the rules. And the derivatives holders have to be paid off before you're just a creditor to the bank at that point, and you're last in line too. So if that nice thing about cryptos is that there's a scarce supply, like silver. I won't say gold because there's a lot more gold than people think there is, but because silver gets used as an industrial metal, but there's mathematically for cryptos. There's a limited supply, but things. Let me just get this out, and then I'll shut up.
Okay.
If you leave your cryptos on an exchange, and if you want to buy cryptos, you pretty much have to have an account on an exchange, like Coinbase or something like it, or Poloniex or something. If you want to buy it with fiat currency, and the problem is they don't actually have those cryptos that you're buying. So if you try and withdraw them, there might be a delay, or they might just not be able to. And if the banking system shuts down, the crypto exchange is shut down. So you have to have a wallet separate from the exchange that after you buy the stuff on an exchange, then you could take it out to a wallet, either like on a Trezor, or I use Exodus myself. And if you leave your shit on an exchange and the banking system has a hiccup, don't expect to be able to get your cryptos because they don't actually have them. And it's just like fractional reserve lending. If you put your money in a bank, they're all insolvent. The cash to deposit ratio is ridiculously low. I mean, that stress test stuff, I don't trust their stress tests. So if you have crypto, don't leave it on an exchange. It's like buying the SLV or the GLD ETFs. That's just a paper version. It's not the real thing. Gold Eagles and Silver Eagles, that's the real thing. If you have them like in your personal vault in your house, you're safe, or wherever you decide to put them. The thing to just remember is just if you can't hold it, you don't have it. It's somebody else does. You're relying on somebody else's. It's a third-party risk. Okay, I'm going to shut up. What were you going to say, Dusty?
Well, I was just going to say the one thing your chart on the silver doesn't show is how much activity is in that market right now. Right now, silver is a commodity. there is no fund money in the commodity markets right now. All your fund money is in the stock market, and actually quite a bit of it was in Bitcoin last week, just because that's a big mover. So, there's really not much trading going on, like in the silver pit. Right now, there is not much trading going on in that silver pit. That's why you're seeing low prices. There's no interest to buy or sell it. So
Yeah, it's just derivative. What's moving it is derivatives trading, and like in Bitcoin, I think when
the
it,
funds
it,
jumped
it,
into Bitcoin. The funds have been in the stock market terrific. I mean, I just got a report from my investment accounts, and I was amazed at how much money I've made already this year. So,
well, the thing with the cryptos is they're being manipulated, but they can't. It's really hard to manipulate cryptocurrency anymore because, I mean, they can, but we're talking about derivative exchanges, where they're going short. They're basically they want to drive it, spike it down, and cover shorts positions, and just use the leverage on the derivatives to cover other shorts. I don't know if I'm explaining
and
that
that's
right.
one thing to always remember. For one person to make money means somebody has to lose money. And that's exactly what's happening on all these things. So,
And that's why there is that is why there is gold on the bottom of Lake Michigan.
yep. There you go.
Somebody lost a food. But I mean, look at that. See, look at that spike there at like little before 4 a.m. It's like a flash crash down like to under $14.30. I mean, that's somebody dumping. Like they aren't trading real silver. They aren't trading real silver. They're trading electronic paper derivatives.
Well, that's just it too. Now, now that the markets use electronic more, you don't have the, how do you say it? The emotions are not in the market anymore. Now it is all numbers and logarithms and everything like that.
But let's look at Bitcoin, for example. It went up to 20,000 and then it crashed down to 3,100 and now it's back up to 8,000. All the weak hands are gone. Okay? Nobody that doesn't believe that crypto is going to be used in the future as some kind of means of exchange or store of wealth. There aren't just people who bought a bunch on margin and didn't dump it at 3,100. Who bought it? If people bought it at 20,000 and got it, and there's no weak hands left. Everybody, they're not gonna be able to panic anybody out. Everybody that's holding cryptos now in their private wallets, they're not gonna panic. And if Bitcoin goes down to $1, because somebody's manipulating all the exchanges, I'm not gonna run out and sell it. I'll keep it and wait. Who cares? And I mean, me, I'm waiting for Deutsche Bank to just finally collapse, and then I'll see what happens. That's what I'm doing. I don't care what the fucking price of silver or cryptos are. I'm not like holding it in weak hands. It's not my stuff. I'm holding on to it, come hell or high water until Deutsche Bank goes. After Deutsche Bank goes down, and mathematically, eventually, it has to. So,
but you're a private investor.
Yeah.
You're not a fund investor. If that was fund money and, okay, you bought Bitcoin here and, oh, man, that's showing a loss. I'm losing my customers' money. I got to recover some of that loss. So they'll either, most of the time, most of the fund money is bought, they buy both. They'll buy a put and a call. And if it makes money, and they'll play both sides. They make money. They also make money if it goes down too, if they that way. So,
but you're gonna put Squib to sleep. It looks like.
Yeah, Squib went to bed. We put him to sleep, and I'm gonna have to leave. But
Oh
But
no, it's
most
going to
of
be
your
just
fund
me.
money, most of your fund money buys both sides of the market. That way they protect themselves. So if it goes up, they make money. If it goes down, they make money. If it stays right where it's at, they lose money.
Yeah, but the point is, funds aren't weak hands either. um, and it's like J.P. Morgan. And here's the thing about silver trading: J.P. Morgan manipulates the markets, and they have never lost one penny trading silver because they control the markets.
That they're JP Morgan. That's kind of what I mean by fund money too. You know, it's your retirement, your pension monies. Anybody that invests your retirement money in that. That's what's considered fund market money in a market.
Yeah, a lot of regular people that are most regular people in the world are, when it comes to like investments, with the two, there's basically what motivates them is fear. You have FUD and FOMO. You have FUD is fear and doubt and certainty. That's when people panic and dump it, and FOMO, fear of missing out. That's when people buy it at any price. That's when people buy Bitcoin at 20,000
Well,
because they think it's going to go to 30 or 40. And
sell on the rumor, buy on the fact.
well, but there's the fact is that for me, nothing. The price doesn't matter until Deutsche Bank just gives up the ghost. At that point, I will be paying attention. But until then, I'm on vacation. I don't care what the price does.
Well, you are. Oh, what would you? How would
Strong
you
hands.
describe it?
Strong hands. I'm not a weak hand. I'm not going to panic.
You're a long-term investor. You're not in and out. You're not in the market to jump in and make a
Yeah,
profit.
I'm
and
not a
jump right
trader.
back
I'm
out.
not a trader.
You're not a trader.
I used to be. I ain't no more.
Well, I used to be too, and I'm not anymore either.
Probably for the same reason.
I turned it all over to a major corporation, and I let them take care of it. So,
Well,
but I used to play. I used to play a lot like that too. But if you don't have time to sit and look at a computer all day long, you're not going to make good money doing that either.
and even
And
if you
that's not
do,
something
you'll probably lose more than you make. So
right. And that's not something I enjoy doing. I enjoy being outside doing things more than I enjoy sitting and playing on a computer all day. Which I mean, is what I went to college thinking I was going to do for my life, but then I decided I wanted to farm instead. So,
growing things. The cool thing about if you're a stock market guy, the cool thing about living in Hawaii and doing it is that the stock market opens like at like 1 a.m. in the morning Hawaii time. So and it closes it by like just after breakfast. So you can go outside and you just won't sleep very much. Your sleep patterns will be fucked up. But my sleep patterns were screwed up before I even came here. So, but if you're still trading, basically you have to be like awake at midnight and studying all the market news, and then pretty much by 8 a.m. you're done for the day. You can go out and do whatever you want after that. And just because of the time difference between New York and Hawaii, but it's so much easier to just pick
I've
your
noticed that
investments
actually about
and
you,
not.
Hawaii. I
What's
read
that?
a lot of your messages when I wake up in the morning.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, well, but they're not always about silver or crypto or
No,
sometimes
I
they're
know.
about
I'm just
guns or
saying
bushcraft or
you seem to come to life and start texting either about the time I'm ready to go to bed or when I should be in bed, or if I do make it to bed, I read them in the morning when I wake up.
okay, I'll keep that in mind from now on.
Okay.
alter my messages.
It's okay. I usually turn my phone off, or I turn the volume off when I go to bed anyway, so it don't matter.
I turn my phone no longer does anything when somebody texts me because it used to just make noises all the time. It's like, I just had to say turn off all the notifications and shit like that for text. I have to be actually looking at my phone to see if somebody texted me. I mean, it's just I'm trying to live my life, and my phone is like saying, "No, you have to look at me. You have to look at me. Stop what you're doing and look at your phone." It's like, no, I'll look at my phone when I feel like looking at my phone. Oh, so let's see. I haven't even been checking my cryptos. I know Dash was doing pretty good. Let's see. Digibyte is up 2.51. Today Dash is down. Boy, it's been. I would say I think I'm will really be happy if Litecoin and Dash took off, because I have a lot of percentage of my stash is in altcoins at this point. But anyway, let's see what else we got going on. We covered some gun stuff today, just about that the Young versus State of Hawaii. So yeah, we started talking about cryptos, and that put Squib to sleep.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to pull the plug myself here real quick. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on. Yeah, I think we're like Steve D left, and Jesse James was out there for a while. He used to do a show on gun channels, and I see him sometimes in the external. And boy, I wish he would go on the gun channel side. I'd throw him a link. But yeah, so we do the show once a week, try and say something intelligent once a week. That's my goal. I don't always succeed.
So what did we say tonight that was intelligent?
I don't know. What did we say?
That's what I was just curious.
So I would say the whole thing with China is like that line from Die Hard with a Vengeance where Samuel Jackson says, if you don't like the way I do things, fine, I quit. Where they're standing by the telephone pole and in the middle of New York, and so John McClane has to say, I need you more than you need me. It's just yeah, China needs us right now. We control the banking system, but I mean that could change. At some point, it will change. I don't know how. Right now, the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency.
Well, now,
how long is
our
that
economy is good. They're hurting, and
but
this whole tariff deal that Trump is putting on is going to hurt China worse. They're playing their hand, and Trump is playing his hand. The winner, I'm sure we'll win if we held out.
Well, that's the whole. Somebody on one of the business channels said this is like, okay, my house is on fire, your house is on fire, but your house is burning down faster than mine, or something like that. And nobody wants to get out a hose and help put out the fire. They want to see whose house will burn down first.
But basically, what the bottom line comes to, and I guess you have to I look at it as a farmer point of view, because I guess that's what I've always done all my life. China needs our grain right now, and
I think they need our pork right now. They need our pork right now.
They need our pork also, which you mentioned selling my pigs too soon. You are right. If I could have held them another, if I could have held them another month, I would have made buku dollars more. But those pigs were over overweight as it was time for them to be butchered and be made into bacon. I've been pricing some feeder pigs right now. To this time, I normally like to put some pigs in right now because, for the most part, May, June is a good time to raise, start pigs out, get them started on feed and stuff. Feeder pigs right now are very high. I think I got a deal made for some that's going to be around $40 a pig. So,
Can
but
I ask?
and that's cheap.
I know what your opinion on horses are, but did you watch the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont Stakes?
Yeah, I did. Yes, and I know you're going to say, "Oh my," but yeah, I did.
What did you think of the horses? I mean, that looked like some pretty awesome horse
Yeah,
flesh.
well, I thought you was going to go on about the outcome of the race. Okay, yeah,
I was
they
just,
were.
I mean, just as a somebody who grows animals. I mean, those were
Yeah,
some awesome
no,
horses.
they were some awesome horses. And, of course, I know everybody's upset about the outcome of the race, but, you make rules for a reason. If you can't enforce the rules, you'll never have a good race. So,
People can understand rules, horses can't.
I know, but
I
that
mean,
rule is there. It was, I mean, that horse ran the race, and there was a jockey on the back of that horse.
yeah, but
Whether he could control him or not,
the
that's
jockey didn't
another
make
story.
the jockey didn't make a mistake. It was like a less than a 2-year-old horse came around the final turn, and all of a sudden, 150,000 people started screaming at him, and he moved over like what 2 or 3 feet in reaction to all that screaming.
Yep.
Why is
But
that a surprise?
you have that rule in place? Do you? This is a good question. I mean, it's where we're at right now on a lot of issues in this country. Do you waive that rule just because it's a horse, he doesn't know any better, or do you enforce that rule? This is where we are getting in trouble as a country. We have laws. Do we enforce our laws or do we let them slide? Good,
Well, this is
good point. Huh?
but
I ended this
we
chat on a
we
good
don't
point.
enforce our rules against animals because animals
Well,
can't
what
form
difference
mens
does I'm
rea.
just saying?
What's the
What
difference between a
difference does
person
it
and an
make?
animal?
It doesn't make any difference. We establish rules in. I mean, the Kentucky Derby. They have rules for how that horse race is supposed to be run. Okay, so the horse broke the rules in this situation. You're trying to justify that maybe an exception to the rule should be made because it was a horse and it was the noise of the crowd. Well, as far as I'm concerned, every race that's ever been ran there has had crowd noise. Every horse that's ever ran there has been subject to that crowd noise. And every jockey that's ever rode a horse has been subject to that same crowd noise. Why is this horse different? Because he's
Well,
2
but
years old?
your whole concept about punishing a horse is ridiculous because the horse can't perceive his punishment. He doesn't even know if he won or lost the race. It's a horse.
You're not punishing the horse. You're punishing the jockey
for what the horse
and the
did.
breeders and the trainer.
For what the horse did, which was being a horse. It acted like a horse. I mean, of course.
Horse? Where have I heard before? Okay. I'm just saying, though, okay, so either in this situation, well, you either have to change the rule or let it slide. But on the other hand, that rule has been in effect for how many years?
And never been enforced like that before, ever.
Has it ever been broken before like that? Ever?
I'm sure horses have been interfered with before.
Who brought up the foul then?
One of the horses that was interfered with.
Okay.
Not the horse. The horse didn't bring up the foul. The owner of the horse brought up the foul.
All right. I don't know. It's just I don't
Well, I
I
mean,
don't
I want to ask
understand
you
either.
this. Could you imagine actually, raising a horse like that? What a lot must go into raising a horse and getting it ready for a race like that. But
Right.
that horse was just under 2 years old. I mean, and it was the best horse in the race. It just
It was the
got
best
spooked.
horse. It just didn't have the experience. That crowd noise and all that, that is actually part of their training. I know for a fact that they probably have blared speakers and stuff in that horse's ear before too. So that part I don't buy. Or he's never really been trained properly. There I could blame the trainer easier than I can blame the horse on that.
Have you worked with a lot of like less than 2-year-old animals? I mean,
I very not many of my animals I keep 2 years, but that's beside the point. So, and I would never work with a horse. I hate those dumb hay burners. But
well, some of those horses were very impressive that I was watching. I just watched. I don't really have a dog. I don't have a horse in the race. I just enjoyed watching the horses run. It was beautiful.
I have some neighbors down the road that raise horses, and they are out there working with those horses every night. I have one lady that shows them and does all that kind of stuff with it, and she is out there with her horse, working with that horse every night and training it how to act. But I also know she's won quite a few shows with that horse, so that's why I'm going to say the loss of this was probably due to a trainer more than anything. It's not the horse's fault. He hadn't been exposed to it. It's not the crowd noise fault, because every horse race that's ever been in or ever been at the Kentucky Derby has had probably the same level of noise. And every horse that's ever ran there has faced the same level of noise. I'm just going to say this horse probably was not trained to its,
I imagine what needs to change is the training. Yeah. So, but again, if it's less than a 2-year-old animal, that's awful young.
Not really. Not.
I don't even remember anything I did when I was 2 years old. I don't even remember being 2 years old. To be honest with you, I mean, that's very young.
Yeah, but you don't have a horse life either.
There's a lot of comebacks to that. I'm not going to even touch that one.
What is the average age of a horse that's running in that race?
4 or 5, I would guess. I don't know.
All right. And usually after 5 or 6, I think, is after that, they're put out to pasture.
Yeah, that's me. Somebody put me out to pasture a long time ago.
Yeah. I see that you said you turned your age this week, and I thought, God, you're still young. I remember that day years ago.
Yeah, I was just happy to be able to walk down the street to a mile or so to Umeke's and fish restaurant and bar, and I was out in the sunshine. I had some clouds roll in, a little bit of drizzle, but I was very happy to do that. And
Well, you know, that's really what everything's about, right? Is if you can go out and enjoy yourself. After all, I know you've been through a lot, and I've really kind of learned what that kind of situation is myself, which even though mine was never as serious as yours, but you know that you start appreciating what you have. So
yeah, and I think like one of the main reasons I still try and make all the healthy decisions is for there's still like, I don't know, 4 or 5 people on this planet that actually love me. So for them, I'll do it. I'll stay alive for them. And eat oatmeal for breakfast more often than not. And
one of the
yeah.
unhappy ones was probably Squib because I jumped on him last week in the show too. But
Oh, did you?
well, yeah, it's saying that he needed it done. And he has that attitude that nothing's ever going to happen to him.
I
That
don't
he
think he
don't
has
need,
that attitude.
huh?
I think, well, you got to remember, first of all, you were the one we started in on him before, like months ago with the whole corn cob thing, and now you're going something similar.
Well,
So I think you would need to hear it from his doctor and not from anyone on the internet.
probably.
So,
But I still think that it's a test that, I mean, everybody should have done. And it's something you should keep your. I never would have believed it. And I know it's a test nobody wants to do because it's not pleasant. But yet, actually, the prep is not pleasant. The
yeah,
actual
that's
test, you don't
you're right.
know what's happening because they knock you out and they give you some good drugs. But
Good drugs.
yeah,
Yeah, as long as you wake up from those good drugs.
well, yeah, and that was the problem. I'm not sure what's going to happen next time because I had such a major reaction to the anesthesia they gave me the last time. So I'm sure I'm going to have some changes too.
All right. If we're gonna wrap this show up at this point, I think we covered all the stuff we were supposed to cover.
Oh, you're still live? Dang, I didn't
Yeah,
realize you were still live.
yeah, we're still live. So I'm gonna wrap this show here, and we'll probably talk for a little while before Dusty goes to sleep in the after chat. Thanks for tuning in, giving us a thumbs up if you did, and y'all take it easy now. And this is HVS, and we'll be back next week for another Lock and Load show. And y'all be cool.